Hi guys. Hope everyone is well. So it's been an interesting week. I had news from the tertiary minerals, which wasn't what I was expecting. But that's all right. Sometimes we get unexpected news. So what I wanted to talk about today is a stock screener that I tend to use. So basically, to get into the stock screener, you have to go into Tradingview. So in Tradingview, go to screener, go to stock screener, and you'll be presented with this screen. Obviously I already set my columns here, but you choose the time interval and you choose the columns that you want to see, basically. So this is only the ones that you want to see, not the ones that you want to filter to. Hi, thank you, Commander Rude. So basically, in here is where you filter all the specifications, all the penny stocks that you would like to see based on technicals or fundamentals as well. So my stock screener is basically everything in between 1 million market cap to 150 million shares float from one share to 1.5 billion. So anything in between these values, it will give me every stock. Sorry, I'll just leave it here open. So basically the average volume as well. You can always pause this later on and you actually can see which values I have, but also you can add your own. So you have basically anything that comes within this specifications. So basically I've got also an Bollinger Band and CCI value below minus 70. So anything that is falling down quite drastically, especially RSI as well, I'll put below 38, but sometimes below 35. But it's basically for you to get close to a bottom as possible, and then after you get these stocks, then you can analyze them and fundamentals. You can check all the RNSs. So sometimes you can even have stocks here which you never heard about, and then based on RNSs that you see that they are actually undervalued. So it's, because there's so 840 penny stocks, it's quite hard to know all of them. So sometimes it's good to just see if anything is at a good level for buying, and then you can do the research after that, because it's quite, sometimes you can go from fundamentals and then you go check the technicals. I tend to do the opposite, even though sometimes I do get a tip from other people, and then I check the fundamentals and then I check the technicals. So, but it's a good way of getting finding a good a reasonable stock at a good level in terms of technicals. And then after this, basically, then I'll check SharePad and analyze them much better. Also, if you're in a stock or charting a stock, that will pop up from a stock screener. I believe you that's it, you put an alert on, so when you checking out a stock, that will come up, and so then you'll be able to see it straight away without losing anything. So what else I wanted to talk about? Apologies, so also Tradingview basics. So this is gold, just as an example, but people were asking me where certain things are probably the most important things, I would say. If you want to chat, just text on Twitchcast or Twitchcast within Discord, or you can actually type on Twitch as well, and I'll be able to see it. But yeah, I tend to use on TradingView Basics. I tend to use that for just a line, so you go straight. So and you can also, if you press on the star, you'll be able to add it to your favorites. So then your favorites starts getting placed in there. So anything that indicated that you tend to use. So I use trend line, as you can see, the arrow, extended line, parallel channel, occasionally, not all the time, but as it, I mean, there is so many indicators you'll be able to use. That's where the fib retracement is, which I tend to use quite a lot. Trend-based fib extension and the trend-based fib time. Here is where I have the rectangular, so I use it as areas, just like that. And I use it clips, just in case if you want to enhance a certain area, as they don't have a circle. Here I use the text occasionally, but now I'm starting to use more of the call out, so it's just easier to get out of the way, pointing at a certain place. So that's very good. Triangle pattern. I haven't gone into the Elliott waves. That will be sort of my next, the next few months. I'll be trying to learn as best as I can in terms of Elliott waves. Oops. Yeah, and the other stuff I haven't gone in yet. I have used arrows up and down as well. But that's pretty much it. All this you can add to your favorites, and that bar will just show up. Here you can create new layouts as well. So I've got several chart layouts. So here you can create, for example, I've got BTC4, which you can create 4 different layouts at different time frames, so you can see, or you can create 2. It opens a new window, but yeah. So my indicators, what I tend to use my, oh yes, okay, just a second, sorry. Yeah, so I tend to use relative strength index, which is one of the most important ones, really, because it's basically a momentum indicator that measures the magnitude of the recent price changes. So it analyzes overbought and oversold conditions. So it's primarily used to identify, so that's basically overbought, and that's reaching oversold, or really pretty much oversold there. But I tend to use that line across for anything that it gets really oversold or overbought. So that's the relative strength index that I tend to use. Wavy Pro is actually a paid indicator. I use that for my bot for crypto. So I use Wavy Pro to get good signals of reversals, as well as I use it along with the other indicators. So it's not primarily only one indicator, but I tend to use the other indicators alongside with. ADX and DI, there's basically a trend. This was another trader that actually put me forward, gave me that tip to start using that. So I literally just started using recently, where basically I can see the trend change when it starts increasing, and the green going above the red basically is a good indication of a trend changing. So I tend to use that less, but it's something that I will start getting into a bit more. And then the final one, which is this stochastic histogram, is all based on the T3 CCI. Basically, it's the same, pretty much the same kind of script, but I just modified it. So I tend to look at this on reversals as well. So when it starts turning up, and I look at obviously the other signals, and there will be, you know, jumping in over there, and try to avoid it buying anything above that on the top. So that's pretty much the indicators that I tend to use. So I've got here to talk about avoiding pump and dumps and buying at the wrong price. So for me to really avoid pump and dumps is basically try to research the fundamentals about the company, but also, and the main thing is the technicals. So let me just give you an example. For example, BZM. Recently, so quite a few people there got into this stock, but it's quite obvious. I mean, you can see that the spikes, you should never buy on spike, and there's just you know, is what happens a lot with pump and dumps. So that was the maximum, the resistance, and on that day it got pumped really high and it got sold. I actually thought that it might have managed to close just on the 200 moving average, but it didn't have the strength to do that. So it got dumped really quickly, almost all the way down back to the 50 moving average. But on the third day, got pumped again, and then managed to get a 200 moving average. But basically, certain stocks that you just don't buy when it's starting to go up like this. You buy when it's a good support down there. You can see where the support is, and so if you believe in a company, that's basically the time to buy is around here, or if it breaks around the 50 moving average as well, that will be a good signal. But every time it breaks the 50, it just comes back down, really. So they did a placing, I believe, just recently, which caused the dip. So right now it's interesting if it holds this level and if it breaks the 200 moving average eventually, but I would be 100% wait until it breaks the 200 moving average, falls back down, retests the 200, and then it's probably a good time to buy if the stock is pretty good, if it's good. But you always have to be careful with certain stocks. They get pumped, and it's just is a very worry thing, you know, to have. AEX. So MNX. MNX is also another stock that gets, whether it gets, sorry about my language, obviously I'm not, as you can tell, my primary language is not English, so sometimes occasionally I might have a few words here and there, or a bit stutter. But basically on MNX, as you can see, there's a spike, fall, a spike, and another fall, another spike, another fall, another spike, another fall. So and basically there's nothing on this stock that will indicate me that is a good opportunity to buy, unless you wait for the next spike and then sell. But you always buy when it's at a good support. So I would be careful. I did believe that it could rise from here, especially because of the RNS they got, which it was a farm out, which is quite interesting because I didn't expect this to fall down that much. Obviously it got pumped quite a lot, and there's definitely a big seller behind this. But I've got two support lines based on previous resistance. So as you can see here, the 2.19, and that was previous resistance, and obviously is lingering around here. There's price congestion around here, which occasionally can be very, very good as well, because as you can see in the wick, it's like a hammer doji. Yeah, as you can see in the wick, there's demand there, so on that dip, and also RSI is back down, so it hasn't, but I would be cautious obviously, because it could fall back down further to 1.72, which is the next support line. Yeah, so what I wanted to talk about is this particular stocks where you have to be careful when they are just continue to falling down. PCGE is another stock that I have my eye for a very long time, but there's nothing that, regardless of what people might think about the stock, and it's going to change anytime soon and things like that, regards to fundamentals, there's nothing in the technicals that shows that it's going to reverse anytime soon. So when that happens, then I'll be the first one to buy. But I don't want to be waiting on a stock for 6 months to a year, waiting to reverse, and instead of reversing, it keeps going further down. So I don't know how long I've been here. 26 minutes. Oh, actually, I thought I was intending to do sort of a half an hour. Oh, hi Nas. Thank you. Yeah. So, any particular stock you wanted me to have a look? Because obviously I don't want to be here too long. Slowly I will get more organized with this stuff that we should to talk about. There's a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about, but one thing at a time. I think I have TRIN here as well that so I'll probably be here for another, I'll say 5 minutes, 6 minutes or something. So TRIN is a stock that I've had my eye for quite some time. Well, since the big dip over here, I believe down. I think it's possibly because the placing that they had, 20 million, but they paid the debt. It was to part of it was to pay the debt, which is a very good indication, and quite a lot of institutions jumped in as well on the placing. So obviously be cautious of there's always going to be places selling, but I believe the shares are back in the market. So if they are gone, they probably sold around here, made probably what, 15%, 20%, maybe, actually maybe more, 25%, because I believe the placing was about 15 pence and never went that far, even though 15 pence, that's the support line over there. So it never went to 15, so it's got a lot of interest here. Now RSI looks on a nice trend, so I'll keep my eye on TRIN in the next few weeks, because it possibly might reverse. Also the T line here, keep an eye on the T line, because if we go above the T line on the daily, then you look at the weekly, and then you can see, yeah, if it starts getting close to the weekly one. But yeah, thoughts on cannabis stocks. Lots of pumpers are tweeting last few weeks. Yes, I believe that the cannabis stocks will do well, and my only problem is the next exchange is very low liquidity. So I have actually owned some shares on a stock that is on a next exchange, and it just moves extremely slowly, and the spread is quite big, which it wouldn't happen if there's enough volume on AIM. So that's my only issue with it. Now I totally believe the cannabis stocks will do well, but you have to buy it at the right price. I'm always worried about IPOs. So I tend to, if I'm interested in a company and they list in the market, I tend to wait for a rise and a dip, and when that dip happens, that's when you start getting thinking about getting in. But you have to, I mean, I could show you, like, for example, EVRH, which was an amazing IPO, and even EVRH had a dip. Let's have a look. Yeah, almost every IPO that gets listed has a dip. I believe 80% of it. So as you can see, there's the dip there. So it happens in a matter of a few weeks. This is 2 months. But look at other stocks and analyze it the same way. But I totally believe that cannabis will be a very good area to get into. I also have a friend that joined another IPO, but for a fund, which I'll probably discuss on Discord on my group, just with other people there. But yeah, there's quite a few that are under developments, I believe. What else? Yeah, I can't remember the names, but there's about 3 of them that just started literally about 2 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago or something like that. And yeah, I would just keep an eye on the chart. Obviously I can't see the chart here because of is a next exchange, and Tradingview unfortunately it doesn't do next exchange, but it needs a bit more chart data on any stock that gets listed, and then you see if you manage to get in before below the IPO level, then it's amazing, you know. But there's always going to be a dip, like with everything. There's always going to be a dip. So I'll stop now. I'll do next week a few. I actually might come back on Tuesday night or Wednesday night, possibly. Maybe Wednesday, I believe. But if there's any stock that you want me to have a look at for Wednesday, just let me know. Give me a buzz, and I'll see you Wednesday and possibly Sunday. So yeah, take care. Bye bye.